Okay, so I wanted to share this because you might run into this kind of issue at some time. I had a little scare pulling in the driveway last night. I was pulling in, and as the tire rotated, every once in a while I was getting a scraping, and it was pretty extreme. Something against the rotor is what it sounded like. So today I decided to take it all apart to check it out, fearing the worst. My worst case scenario was that the bolts on the backing plate had started backing out and were up against the hub or the rotor. The hub, sorry. But fortunately that was not the case. Now that I have the rotor off, there is no squealing. I do not see anything there that would be hitting it. But on the rotor itself, this is pretty inconspicuous, but if you look right here, you can see a ring going all the way around, and it's a little scratch. I think what happened is that a rock got in there on the rotor, in the brake pad, or by the brake pad, and ground a ring all the way around. That's the only thing I see. I laid underneath there and made sure it wasn't that bearing housing the bracket on the CV axle, and there's nothing really that could be doing it there. And it's not making any noise when it's spinning, so right now I'm going to put it back together and see if it's still doing it, but I think that's all it was, is just a little rock in there. So, yay, good times. So that was not the problem. I have found the problem. The backing plate somehow got bent and is up against the rotor. So when I spin it there, it's actually scraping against it. But only some of the time. Of course it's not going to do it when I take a video, but yeah, I think I pushed it back enough that it's not, but it was right up against it there. So I think that's my noise. So that's simple. I was right, and there's the proof. It was scraping against there. It was just, it got to the point where it was barely scraping on one side of the rotor. So I'm pretty sure that's just kind of proof of the acceptable runout on rotors. One side, it's ever so slightly warped, just enough to be evident in a case like this. But yeah, it scraped right up against the backing plate. So I took an extension and I wrapped it in a rag, and I put it up against the backing plate near the backing, or the screw, and then hammered that with my rubber mallet, and got it back away from there, so it should be good now. So interesting one, but fortunately an easy fix. Okay, so I got everything back on. No grinding, no scraping whatsoever, so success there. And I was just going to say, if you end up needing to do a brake job, or something like that, if that's what you happen to be doing, and for some reason you stumbled upon this super long video, this is what I used for the brakes. This is pretty much all you need. Even the 14mm deep set socket could be a short 14mm. Basically just a ratchet, torque wrench, extension, 14 and 17mm sockets, a 17mm wrench. You actually probably don't need the 17mm wrench with the extension on the socket, but the brake hanger's nice for the caliper, and then the breaker bar is nice for breaking your lug nuts free. You can't really get it in there for the caliper bolts. You could try, but this one's too long. Maybe a shorter one. And then whatever you need for your lug nuts. In my case, it's a 21mm socket there. I use a deep set so that I can get on the larger connection on the adapter there. And then the adapter is because the lug nuts are splined, so it's not just a regular lug nut. And then of course rags. I know my rag looks super dirty, but these are recycled rags. They're clean even though they look dirty. So they work real good. And of course the rubber mallet, because if you're using a wrench or a ratchet to break those caliper bolts free, you're probably going to need a little excess force, which the rubber mallet worked good for me. Just to don't be easy on it.
So I could be wrong, but this right here is a brand new control arm, and this is pretty much in line with where the belt is spinning. And could that be coolant? I'm thinking maybe those little white spots might be coolant dried on there. The water pump's right up here, and I have a spray down on here too. I'm thinking maybe I might be leaking coolant up in there. So I'm about to paint my emblem. I'm not quite sure my color scheme. I mean, I know which colors I'm going to do, the black and red, but I'm just not quite sure whether I'm going to do the background in there red or black. I'm not 100% sure yet, but I'm kind of leaning towards doing the front and the sides of the recessed area black, and then the very back where it's got all the lines back there red, and then also in the letters red too. When I sanded this, I went extreme. I wanted to make sure this paint sticks, so I even took sandpaper sheets, like little half-inch sheets, and folded it over and used the edge to sand inside each of the letters. So I went a little overboard, but you know, why not? This is what people are gonna be looking at, you know, anybody who doesn't really know cars, so figured I'd make it look nice. Okay, so I've been having some issues since I finished, where I've been getting some mass airflow sensor codes, the oxygen sensor codes, lean condition codes, and I haven't been able to figure out what it was. Well, I think I just found the source, so make sure you double check everything, maybe even triple check it, because as I'm looking down inside here, something just doesn't look right. That hose down there, let's see if I can focus. Yeah, that's supposed to be connected right there, and it is not. That is a massive vacuum leak. So that's probably why I keep getting codes. So I'm gonna change that, clear my codes, and see. That might just be all I needed. Might not even have a bad mass airflow sensor, because the readings on it were like 10% of what it should be, but maybe this is why. Okay, so I masked up the back here, got this all sanded. I actually sanded the white part in there, the paint, because I'm definitely not going to take this out. There's like a recessed area in the paint there, or in the body, so taking that out isn't really an option. So I'm going to paint the area where the white paint's at there. I sanded all this down, and it's pretty much ready to go. This is going to be fun to mask off. That's what I'm about to do next, so I got to get creative here. But I did have a couple spots here around my gas cap. Something was wrong with this. It wasn't lined up right, so it's been scraping. So the paint was missing. It was a little rusty there, so I sanded down those couple spots there, and I'm gonna touch it up with some paint, clear coat. Not, you know, the right kind, but it's better than nothing, so I'm gonna put something on there. And then down here underneath, I gotta pop the gas door to see it, but I guess where gas or something has been resting there, the clear coat's like chipped off there, so I'm gonna like kind of recoat that too. So for the front, the reveal on the color scheme I did, it's not perfect. It was really hot when I did it, and so the paint was kind of coagulating, but this is how it came out. did the black in the back and just the letters red, and I think it looks really good. Once I got the letters, I considered doing the back, but I think it would have been a little too much red, so that's what I got, and that's how it looks with the headlights, and I like it. Yeah, looking back, I don't even know how I did that. That is ridiculous. I should have just left it like it was. Or taking it off, I don't know. Anything would have been easier than masking that. Okay, so it looks like my car is wrapped in trash, but this is the last coat, and who cares? It's gonna do the job, and I'm almost done with these. So I think they look pretty good. The front one was a little bit more textured in the lettering because of the way the paint was drying. This one definitely does have some texture to it too, but I kind of like it. To me, it kind of reminds me of like raw metal, so I like the way it turned out. I even separated the letters there. And this is with the clear coat, so the back's gonna look glossier. Okay, so I have some issues with the water pump going on down here, so I'm getting things ready for it. Draining the fluid. I had to take off the two, I think they call them under engine covers, under here. Took off the two covers so that I could get to the radiator drain, and also so I could get to where the belt's at over here. And I took off, I think they call it the apron on the side that goes up in between where the belt's at and the tire is on the side there, so I have more access there. And actually you can probably see it from up here. It's down in there, the plastic piece is down in that area where you can see the dirt. And so this is going great. I'm draining the coolant, and well, you know, something had to go wonderfully great. There is a drain plug down on the bottom which is draining right now. There's also a plug up at the top here. If you can see that, that white there in the middle is the rest of this drain plug. I was opening it to vent the top, and it sheared inside. So I'm hoping when I take that hose off, I can reach in there and fish it out, so I don't have to, I don't know, flip my radiator upside down and shake it out of there. I don't know. No, that's really unfortunate. Really figures though. Okay, so I'm gonna go through this quickly because I had that issue there, and I didn't waste time. I got a lot that I'm doing to this, and this was just kind of an annoyance. Hopefully I can get that out of there still once I get this radiator pulled out. I think maybe I can mount a screwdriver into the end of that plastic plug and then unscrew it to get it out of there. So I don't think this is going to be too big a deal. But it's nice to get this out so I can clean it up because it's really dirty along the front. And this is the beauty of a manual transmission, is there's nothing attached. There's no transmission lines, nothing. There's an upper and lower radiator hose. And once I got those out, I just disconnected a couple electrical connectors on the fans and pulled that up out of there, which is a little bit difficult. There's the one connector here and the other one here. And I want to show you a cool little trick that my brother-in-law showed me. On these connectors, right, these little clips like this here. Sometimes they're a real pain to get off, but he showed me that if you take a 10mm socket, you can just push it over the top, push down on it. Sorry, it's hard one-handed, but yeah, it just pops right off. Sorry, I guess I didn't show that very well. Let me try that again. So it's popped in there, one-handed. Yeah, light. Okay, so you're just gonna put it on there and push down, and then push, pops out. It's a terrible video, I'm sure, but that's how it works. Alright, I'm gonna pull this out of here and get it cleaned up, and it's gonna be kind of nice because I'll have more room to work in here. Okay guys, so I'm kind of flying through this. It's been a lot of stuff to do, and I really want to get this done, so I've been kind of forgetting about doing video. I did drain the coolant, obviously, and took out the radiator and the cooling fans. The radiator and the cooling fans is really pretty simple to get out, other than maneuvering it out of the top here. The cooling fans have 2 electrical connectors and 2 bolts, and then it just lifts out. It's a bit difficult to get around because the AC lines here are kind of in the way on that side, so you kind of have to like squeeze it through, scrape a tiny bit, and just kind of wiggle it, move it to the side if you can. I think I moved it to the right a little, but in any case, once you get that out, then the radiator is these 2 bolts up on top, and just the hoses. The bottom has no bolts, it's just bushings that go in there. So yeah, just the 2 bolts on top, and then the hoses. I did pull the serpentine belt too. On this, the tensioner is that pulley right up in there with the V-belt, or the ribs on it, above this water pump pulley, which is the smooth one there. So the smooth one is our water pump pulley that we're going to take out. I'm getting a tool for that, so that I don't have to do any crazy thing prying on stuff, because I don't want to damage the new pump. So I got that coming. It wasn't very expensive, but the next one back there is, I believe, yeah, that's the tensioner. And on the tensioner, if you can see that stud sticking up right there, not the bolt, but the long stud behind it that looks like a lug nut. If you crank that, it's got a 3/8. I'm sorry, it doesn't have a 3/8. It has a 19 millimeter head, and the belt removal tool that I have is what has the 3/8 head, and that's this guy here, big long thin bar. The water inlet I took out, thermostat's out. It's a big guy, but yeah, it's out of there. And the drain on the, I guess it'd be the vent on the radiator. I did have to fight with that to get that out of there. Sorry, this side. But it wasn't that bad. I took my torch here, heated up a screwdriver, and then ran the screwdriver into the end of the plug, melted it a bit. Once it was melted real good in there, then I just was able to unscrew it after it cooled down. And I'll show you that. These guys are a little rusty. That was the difficult part to get past, was that plate there. But I am having, shoot, where am I? Okay, anyways, I'll get back to that. I am having some difficulty with the block drain, which is right down there. Let's see if I can get a better shot of it. Yeah, right there. You just unscrew the tip there, but it is not budging. So I'm using some penetrating oil and trying to do the best I can to get that out of there, because I really want to drain the block, because I'm putting all new coolant in, and it's Amso coolant, so I don't want any old coolant in there if I can help it. And then, I was going to show you the screwdriver that I used. Just melted it into the end, and it turned right out. MacGyver. Okay, so at this point, I'm waiting on the tool for the water pump, and my biggest thing is going to be that block drain. I don't think there's much else I want to do at this point until I get the tools. So I do have some parts still coming, and yeah, hopefully things go smooth over here. Hopefully it's not too rusty, because that block drain is really rusty.
And the plug in the top of the radiator, the reason that thing snapped is it was just dry and brittle because it's almost 20 years old. So, and even getting the thermostat out was a difficulty because it was really well stuck in there. And this was interesting. The bottom bolt on the thermostat was not tight. It's a little bit difficult to get in there. You have to go around this AC line with an extension and a deep set, and apparently they felt like they couldn't get to it because they did not tighten it, and there was residue all along the bottom, so it had been leaking here as well as the water pump. So good stuff. Another thing, the procedure does tell you to disconnect the battery. However, I have not yet. To me, it's less convenient if I have to disconnect it, so I'm just being very careful. I am not going to take the alternator out until I disconnect it, but the only things that I've really disconnected is those cooling fan plugs, and I don't think that's going to affect anything. So yeah, that's really about it. I don't see anything else that I disconnected, so I think it'll be okay. I'll just be careful. We got the alternator out of there. That one was 2 bolts. There's an upper bolt that goes through here and a lower bolt that goes in here, I believe. Yeah, that looks right. So I pulled the alternator out, and the water pump, there are 6 attachments. There's 4 bolts. Let's see if you can see. There are 2 on the top there. There are 2 nuts in the middle. And then there are 2 more bolts at the bottom. So once you get that off, there is actually a part here that projects. This part here you can get a pry bar against. I found it easiest to bring in a pry bar this way, and then with a rubber mallet hit the back of it, and it tapped it apart. It really wasn't too difficult to get off of there. Strangely, everything's a blue RTV silicone, but the one in here is black, so I don't know. I wonder if that's factory. I don't know, do they use black? But when I got in here, on the water pump, there is an attachment along the side. There's a bracket that connects here, and that bracket is a holder for the crankshaft position sensor wire. And if you look here, this thing is scorched really bad. So I ordered a new one of those because that's very unreliable there. It's an expensive piece. It was around $100, which I really hate to do, but that's an important part, and I don't want to have that in there. So I went ahead and ordered it, and that'll be here soon. And I need to pull the tensioner. Need to pull the tensioner back in there, but I really don't have access. I'm kind of thinking I might raise it up and pull the tire, but I'm gonna crawl under there and see what I can do. Okay, so I'll explain a little more later, but just for right now, this is the tensioner back in there. I just got the engine up enough to clear to get that bolt out. I had to disconnect all the engine mounts except for the trans one. The rear one back there, this front one over here, and then the side one here. And it's been fun trying to get that high enough. Everything looks to be okay, but it just barely squeezes in there. So I'm gonna pull that out, change it out, and get my engine back down. I don't like this.